are being implemented by the industry. There are various issues that are related to IT assets disposal and environmentally sustainable disposal. Many companies we know are also, delving on vulnerability in data breaches during disposal. And, there are some global best practices. Some of them do follow it. Uh, as we know that ICT companies play a crucial role in the digital economy, and they have to lead by example in sustainability. So today we have representatives from SERI with us. SERI is a multi-stakeholder collaborative non-profit organization in the world. It focuses exclusively on minimizing environmental and health risks posed by used and actually end-of-life electronics, while they also work on maximizing social and economic value that is presented by these equipments. We have the privilege of having Dr. Sandip Chatterjee with us. Presently, he's the senior advisor, SERI. He's a leading global policymaker and an experienced techno administrator with 35 years of experience in translating research outcomes into commercial viability and disruptive policy making. He's a visionary leader who has consistently delivered on strategic innovation, international policy negotiations, and advocacy. He's a global expert on materials, electronic waste, circular economy, resource efficiency, with over 60 plus research and review publications, 10 plus patents, 5 plus book chapters, and an extensive public speaking experience of 1,000 plus engagements. He had also received President's Award from former Honorable President of India in 2013 for his work. Interestingly, he has established Pan-India 22 plus centers of excellence in emerging technologies like quantum materials, graphene, 2D materials, e-waste, 3D printing, and etc., etc. He's also adjunct professor at IIT Mandi, School of Materials and Mechanical Engineering. Many of the participants present here, you may be knowing him from his previous role at MeitY, where he formulated India's policy roadmap on additive manufacturing, circular economy, and resource efficiency. He also led the formulation of India's digital data protection policies. Besides that, he also headed the Cyber Law and Data Governance Group and formulated the DPDP Act, which is now being translated into rules, the amendment of IT Act, IT rules, and similar policies. He served as officer on special duty to the Secretary Government of India, advising him on technical, administrative, finance, legal matters, for seamless functioning. He has represented Indian in the United Nations, European Union, also at many bilateral forums with European countries like Hungary, Romania, Armenia, etc. He's drafted various ICT policies for other countries on foreign deputation. So we have the privilege of listening to him today about his role at SERI and how he is promoting global best practices on sustainability electronics, including longer product life, responsible refurbishing, and recycling standards, ITAD, data sanitization, etc. Before I hand over to Dr. Chatterjee, I would just like to say that while the presentation is going on, many of us would have questions. I would request you all to put them in the Q&A box. At the end of Dr. Chatterjee's presentation, we'll be having a dedicated Q&A session where we'll be taking your questions. And if you have any other queries which you want that Dr. Chatterjee responds in detail, you may put them in the chat box or Q&A box with that rider that you need more detailed explanation. Take it up later, and post today's webinar, we'll be sending you detailed responses on that. So with that, I think we are good to begin. I'll just hand over to Dr. Chatterjee to go through his presentation, please.
Thank you, Vatika. This is my pleasure. I'm thankful to nasscom for giving this platform for us. As you already mentioned, India is going through a different transformational economical development where digital technology plays an important role. And the forum I am talking, nasscom, having mostly the ICT companies, which is actually the driving force of our last 4 decades of development. And as you all know, the outcome this industry has given to us and the performance, it has been well established internationally. It has consumed high-end electronics for many decades. That is how we are performing here. So the entire space is continuously transforming, but giving a delivery of your whatever the desired output. Our companies keep on consuming high-end electronics. As you must have seen that we are going for a different disruptive technology, additive manufacturing, artificial intelligence, machine language, and all our IoT-based device, quantum technology. All those also require to dispose of the older version of the electronics for your business needs, where that it should be competitive with your business peer group in the other part of the world. So for all those reasons, of course, the consumption will be high. And for AI, to handle AI, as you know, we require faster computers, computing, and also the storage. So that is also another, you can say, reason for changing your product very fast. So it is obvious that India, at least to achieve the $30 trillion economy by 2035, will be consuming more electronics. So it is not a choice, it is the reality now. So the entire space, if now our Honorable Prime Minister is saying that we should go for a circular economy lifestyle, so that your business should not be disrupted. You should continue to have your own business, but how to manage your electronics so that you can have a longer life without actually compromising your business pursuit. So all those things, to know that, we should also learn how globally it is managed. And I'm very happy that nasscom, from the SERI's point of view, we are really promoting the sustainable electronics. SERI is an organization, as you mentioned, is a non-profit organization. We are actually developing one of the standard, very popular standard, R2. So the responsible reuse and recycling standard. So it is now popular in 47 countries, including India. So we have a R2 standard company around 50. So I am going through today is the first webinar. So I'll be going through mostly today the Indian regulation law, which will affect the many industries, including the member of nasscom. So as I mentioned, the world is changing. This is a one road in Rome, when the earlier Pope, now he's no longer there. So it's taking oaths. So the same lane you just see in 2005 and 2013, how the scenario has changed. Everybody is carrying the smartphone. So this is the reality now. So that this device people are using and taking the photograph. This device can take anything, storage, computing. Not only the device, if you see all the devices are connected, so data is also transferring from one nation to the another nation, and that this is now a reality for the business need, for the personal need. So all the devices are getting linked day by day. So electronics, we cannot just stop using. Every sector is now embrace this beautiful technology, from the agricultural, transport, ICT, take any sector. So every sector is now using electronics, but all those products are not part of our electronic goods rule. European Union having more than 600 products. I'll be showing that. We have only 106 products so far. So if you see the electronic waste after the development and using that product, nobody can manage that. So it is next to impossible if you are trying to manage a product after its inception or use for few years, and then you are throwing it. So you do not know what to do with that. So the e-waste management terminology now changed to the circular economy now, and where the design aspects have been strengthened further, so that we can replace some of the things. Modularity discussion is there. So some of the component spare parts can be reused or not. So those idea is going in that. So the linear economy, the existing you are taking, extracting material, mineral, then, producing some component, then assembling the product, then using it, then dispose of. So this is the linear model. Earlier was popular. So the development of the product was also like that in those point of time, 1930, 1970. But 2025, if somebody is developing on a smartphone or some electronic product, his thought process should be started from the design stage. So which mineral he will be choosing, like you will be choosing the lead, or the team can help soldering that thing. So there are many materials. I'm not discussing today's discussion. So all those things are required in the circular economy. So this is the, so what is electronic waste? So definitions, if you see the European Union definition is very technical or scientific, I should say. European Union is the first block of countries or member states. They have started looking at this subject in 2000. So first directive or rule came in 2022, first version of the, they called is a directive. So WEEE directive, Waste of Electrical and Electronic Equipment Directive. And ROS is another directive, restricted of hazardous substance. So these two directives in our country is one single law or rule in our country. So ROS, we do not have any new rule. We have in the same electronic waste rule. So European Union having two different directives. So this directive, they are defining electronic waste as any product or device working within 1000 volt DC or 1500 volt AC. So they will be considered as electronic waste after their end of life. So that is the definition European Union has adopted. But what we adopted, we have given a list of product which will be called under our law as a electronic waste. Earlier to 2023, 1st April, this product number was only 21. Now we have enhanced 106. So if you see the European Union list, there are 642 products under the ambit of the rule or directive. So many of those products still go, India, our consumer is also using, but they will not be considered as under electronic waste under our rule. So if on those products, if these things are going to the informal sectors or something happening, so it is very difficult under our rule to manage them. So as you, Bhartika, already mentioned that we are growing economy. We are excelling in ICT sector. And now we do not call it ICT sector, digital technology. Fintech is booming. Innovation like UPI has changed the entire world. 600 banks has adopted already UPI, and 30 plus countries has embraced this technology. So with this growth, it is obvious that we are also growing in electronic waste. So the same report of UNEP and ITU gave in 2016 figure where we were in position 5th. But 2022 figure, you can see we are in the 3rd position. We have already generated 4.17 million metric ton of electronic waste, and we are growing almost 18% year-on-year basis. So this is the India scenario. So we have a rule, as I mentioned, I'll be coming to that. But of course, we should know that these electronic products are having some of the hazardous element also. One thing I generally keep on quoting, we are using a phone. In 1990, that phone was using 10 element of the periodic table. In 2005, the same phone coming as a smartphone were using 27 element of the periodic table. And if you are talking about iPro 16 of Apple, so that is using 69 element of the periodic table. So if you are getting the phone or the device smarter, we require to use different mineral and that is obvious that some of the metals or minerals are not available in our country. To sustain our growth, so sustain our business, we have to consider secondary raw material extraction from the electronic waste. so we can see our growth should not be restricted. So this is the chronological development or this thing or rule. Rule started, this EUS rule was part of the hazardous management rule before 2012. The 1st May of 2012, initial version of the rule came, but there was no target at that time. So there was no EPR target, as you mentioned, extended producer responsibility, that is actually helping, or rather it is mandating manufacturers or producers to take back their product, because they know what elements they are using, what hazardous or toxic minerals are there. So they will be dealing that matter better. So internationally, EPR is a very good policy push, so that product can be taken back by the OEM or producers or the manufacturers. So we also adopted the same principle, but in EPR in 2012, there was no target. From 2016, 1st of October, we made a collection target in EPR. The first time in 2016, we have started enhancing the collection target. So our EPR practically operational from 2016-17. Then the 2023, 1st of April, we made EPR recycling target. So now it is not only collection, so we'll go to the recycling. There are many amendment or discussion is going on with different sectors. So there, because 106 product having a photovoltaic also now, panel. So they are saying we do not have the collection mechanism, is a huge item. All those things are having a different type of amendment. I tried to make it in one slide, so you should know what other things are there. This is another method. Before that 2012, how it has grown. So electronic waste is not new. It was there when European Union started their discussion on directive in 2000, 2022, 2002. So it was under the hazardous management rule in a particular para. Then we come in 2012, then we have a 2023 version that is getting implemented here. Now, who are the agency? The Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change are the main ministry who are framing the rule. We are modifying and amending the rules. So they are the legal entity in the country who are managing the rule. All waste management, including electronics. CPCB under the electronic, MoEF is a regulator in the country, a central agency who are actually managing the rule and guideline. So they are issuing the guideline time to time manner for recycler, for manufacturers, producers, bulk consumers, like in the forum I'm talking. So these directives or guidelines are very important. We have to see what type of guidelines are coming for this thing. So because it's a punishable offense now under the Environment Protection Act. So I'll be showing all those things. Under that, there are SPCB, that is a State Pollution Control Board. And then Pollution Control Committee, if it is a UT, Union Territory. And apart from that, there are transboundary movement of the electronic waste under DGFT, Custom and Port Authority. So transboundary movement is also illegal. We are the signatory of the Basel. India is a signatory of the Basel. Basel never allowed your transboundary movement of a hazardous material, including because electronic waste is having various hazardous toxic chemical. So that is also considered as a hazardous. So this is the India scenario. So we have a 413 plus recycler now in the portal, CPCB portal. But there is a vibrant informal sector. That is a challenging thing. So we have almost 2 to 3 million in informal sector. Nodal agency I mentioned, MoEF, CPCB, SPCB, PCC. And it is operational, 2022 rule is operational now. And the present target is 60% recycling target. So that is there up to 2025. And hazardous material, we have not changed. European Union having a four different version of the directive. So they have enhanced the number of hazardous material, but we are considering the same 6 set of hazardous material in the product, like lead, mercury, chromium 6 plus, and 2 different categories of brominated plastic, which is used for product for flame retardant. So these are the 6 items we have initiated in 2012. Till now, we have not enhanced any number. So this is the hazardous material as per our rule. Now, I'm just giving you the applicability. This rule, compared to 2016 one, there are many stakeholders where the rule was applicable, but they have reduced the number. Now, producers, manufacturers, refurbishers, and recyclers on which these rules will be applicable. And micro entrepreneurs, if it is SMEs or MSMEs, under the MSMEs Development Act, which is regulated by that, so those will be exempted. Now, battery packaging, earlier it was inside the electronic waste rule. Now it is separated by separated, and it will be dealt with battery management rule. That is also some complicacy. So you have to see the inventory and other things. So battery will go to the battery management rule. Now, list of stakeholders who are the player, where bulk consumer is mentioned, like manufacturers, producers, refurbisher, recycler, bulk consumer, of course, the state government, union treasury, CPCB, SPCB. These are all stakeholders which will be responsible in some fashion, maybe small, maybe higher responsibility, but these are the player. Now, entity which require registration, as I mentioned earlier, bulk consumer also supposed to be registered in the thing in the 2016 version. Now it is not there. So only the 4 entity, manufacturers, producers, refurbishers, and recycler should register in the CPCB portal for doing the business or exchange of materials and all. And also they should submit their annual report or quarterly report in that portal. Now, responsibility manufacturer to collect the e-waste generated by during manufacturer, and producers obtain and implement EPR target, sensitize the citizen for electronic waste management. Refurbisher will collect and refurbish an end of a life product, and if some of the components are not usable, so they should hand over to the authorized recycler. And recycler, they will be actually recycle the product as per the laid down process and machinery mentioned in the CPCB guideline. And they should unprocessed material, whatever the materials they cannot process. So they will be, with the recorded, they have to take a record and hand over to the treatment, storage, disposal facility. So that should be seen in time to time manner by the SPCB and CPCB through audit. So above stakeholders required to upload annual and quarterly returns. CPCB to submit the annual report. So whatever the 4 stakeholders I told, so they will be uploading their report to the CPCB portal. Subsequently, CPCB will submit the report to the MOEF. Government role, government's role is actually facilitating, recycler and refurbisher to provide the space, allocate the industrial space park cluster for setting up plants for recycling, and also recognize and register worker from their group to ensure the annual monitoring for their health and safety and workers. So state government should do all those. So this is the last bullet is actually for the informal operator. So the manage the e-waste, so prescribe. So how to manage the e-waste? If you have taken collected e-waste, so it is mentioned that you cannot keep e-waste more than 180 days by the manufacturer, refurbisher, and recycler. If you are really interested to extend the things, you have to take a permission. And the reason you have to say why you are interested to keep it for more than 180 days. Record to be maintained for e-waste for sale, transfer, store, and future inspection. And specific case, 365 days storage after, as I mentioned, from CPCB permission. Transportation of e-waste to follow hazardous and other rule of 2016. Then ROS, as I mentioned, there are 5 different categories of hazardous element like lead, mercury, chromium 6 plus, cadmium, and 2 categories of brominated plastics. So they are within the limit of 1000 ppm, but the cadmium is considered as 100 ppm categories. So this is more deadly. So the manufacturers of electrical and electronic equipment, defense products are exempted. CPCB may carry out random sampling from the market, and cost of the sampling and testing to be borne by the producer. So if the CPCB found some products are not following that ROS compliance, so the same product will be taken from the market, and that all the expenditure for this process should be borne by the company. Now, duties of the concerned authority. So it is mentioned in Schedule 5 of the rule. Authorities are CPCB, SPCB, PCC. So CPCB maintain the portal, online portal, coordinate with State Pollution Control Board and Pollution Control Committee, issue the guideline, standard operating procedure, checks, action. SPCB will take care of the inventory, e-waste inventory, and the EPR compliance, random inspection of the refurbishing and recycling. Rural and urban local bodies, they will also ensure that collection, transportation, facilitation of the collected, segregated, waste, and also disposal system. Port authority is actually verify the import and export of the EPR, report to CPCB illegal traffic. All those things are the responsibility of the Port Authority. BIS and MeitY issue the standard for the refurbished product and issue the guideline with respect to the compulsory registration scheme. Now, punishment. So this is EP Act, as I mentioned, it is now punishable offense. There is an environmental compensation also introduced in the last version of the rule. So it is mentioned in section 15 of the EP Act, which is a new addition compared to the earlier version. Scope of the imposing penalty has also been widened to include the entity aiding and abetting the violation of the rule. Actually, everything is now online. So you are uploading your information, you are reporting, or quarterly you are uploading reports. If CPCB found some of the reports are false, or you are tampering with some number, so it is a punishable offense. So environmental compensation will be levied to those companies. And so that is a punishable offense. So the quantum of offense will be somebody can challenge to the court. It is a court litigation. So as I mentioned, the EPR is one of the important policy push entire world is now using. So it was started way back in 1992 in Sweden. So initially it was a managing electronic waste. So the upstream was taken care of, but one Japanese policymakers found that if you are not taking the downstream and upstream together, so it is not going to help. So in 2004, amendment has been made. So now it is a complete form of EPR, where from design stage to the management, all stage where people are taking. So this is so popular that there are many policy push has been taken care, and it has been found there are 384 EPR policy around the world, and it is showing that how the waste materials are collecting. So as a 2019 figure is 375 billion US dollar of worth of revenue is possible from the waste generation. So what is the EPR composed of? It is a design for environment. So the product should be designed for the environment. If you know some of the lead, mercury, all those things are available as there in your product, you should give the information to the consumer. So the information-based instrument, economic and market-based instrument, it is saying that you should have a deposit refund scheme or the advanced deposit scheme, so that those fund can be used for recycling or refurbishing the product. Regulation, standards and monitoring, so reporting producers, mandatory for voluntary standards and self-check, and promoting innovation in recycling technology. So continuously you have to augment the recycling technology so that more and more material you can retrieve, and negative value product also you can have a proper recycling method established. So the EPR provision in electronic waste management Indian rule is there in 3M, rule number 3M. Producers and of electrical and electronic equipment must meet recycling target. And rule 13, 14, and 15, the producer must fulfill the e-waste target. And EPR certificate to be issued on the by CPCB, and once it will be fulfilled, so your target certificate should be, producers can purchase those certificate from the EPR portal, and this certificate will be sold by recycler or refurbishers. Then the entire responsibility of the quantum of e-waste will go to the recycler or refurbishers. So they can show that how they are processing this material and what are the metal they have extracted. Everything should be shown to the authority. Now the certificates will be valid for 2 years until the end of the fiscal year in which they are generated. And the producers EPR is deferred for the refurbishing the certificate. So if you are handing over, you're purchasing certain refurbishing certificates, then your recycling will be deferred for 2 years. And the producers can purchase EPR certificate within the limit based on their current EPR liability. So this is the some small step. I'm just explaining how the EPR is functioning. So without EPR, it was dealer, store was exchanging product, then the consumer, then the scrap shop, then the aggregator. So this is the initial method of distribution of the waste material. But once EPR is in place, so dealer, store, then the consumer, then it is collector, then authorized recycler, then extracting, and you are getting the metal value secondary raw material from the product. So recycler, who will be called at risk? Because you, as a bulk consumer, you may be onboarding some of the recycler for handing over your IT assets. So who are recyclers? So you have to go to see the CPCB portal. So you have to see EPR e-waste cpcb.in. This portal will show you the list of different recycler. Those recycler must have taken CTE, CTO from authorization, GST certificate, all those things they have done. So for you, there is no, you do not have to check, but the recyclers should follow all those things. And you see the recyclers are approved by the CPCB thing. So CPCB will continuously updating their list. Some of the recycler may be dropped also for they are not following some of the things. So you have to continuously see this portal that who are the authorized recycler. Then the highlight, if you see the e-waste, so first is applicability. I have mentioned who are the applicable in this rule. Bulk consumer exempted for registering in 2016 version, as I mentioned. For bulk consumer like IT members, nasscom members are also required to register in that portal. Now it is not needed. Now Schedule 1 is giving you 106 product. EPR credit system has been introduced. Earlier it was not there. Recycling target has been introduced. Now we are in the domain of 60% target. So introduce environmental compensation, as I mentioned, and scope for the compensation expanded, including the aid and abatement of the any violation, ensuring a more robust deterrent against the non-compliance. This is the list of product. So you can go to Schedule 1 of the rule. It is downloadable. You can see what product we are. So for IT companies, ICT companies, the IT and telecom equipment list is important for you. That is having a code ITEW1 to 27. So this is the list you have to see for your product. There are other categories of product as well. So now I'm telling you what are your responsibility. What is the bulk consumer's responsibility? According to the rule 3(1)(b) of the 2022 rules, any entity, including the and retailer that utilize the, so if you are in a financial year, you are disposing of computer, laptop, all those things, more than 1,000 or more than 1,000 unit, so you will be considered as a bulk consumer. So e-waste out of that Schedule 1 list, so they will be considered as e-waste. So if you are using certain electronics, it is not in the Schedule 1, so they are not e-waste. So the dispose of the bulk consumer should only be restricted to the producer. So you are supposed to deal, if you are having a categories of more than 1,000, so you are supposed to deal with any producers, refurbisher, recycler, they are listed in the CPCB portal. So if you are giving certain product in a informal guise, or they are saying that we are in the CPCB portal, so that is the punishable offense. Need for compliance document submission and separate consumer classification have to be there. Conserve valuable resource. So these are all moral commitment for the bulk consumer. So you are like Vatika also mentioned. Now it is our commitment that what we are giving back to the society after our use of those electronic products. As you all know, this is having a rich minerals and metals in that electronic waste. So after uses, it is taking care, recycling properly, refurbishment properly or not. That is our commitment now. Now protect the health. So if it is going to the informal hand, as you know how they are extracting the gold and other metals from using potassium cyanide, aqua regia, all those things. So that has to be also you have to take care. And reduce the pollution. Reduce the pollution. Just 1 minute. Sorry. So the moral commitment. So this is the moral commitment for all the bulk consumer. So you have to see you have to reduce the pollution, other things. Now, now the linear economy will not going to help all those things. So you require to, as I mentioned, from EPR pushes us to design of the product. Designs to be modular so that many of the parts and component can be parts and component can be dismantle, and repair and maintenance, recycling, recovery, and also circular business model. So these are all some of the things are circular economy is pushing us, the sustainability is pushing us. So the whole life cycle and rethinking. So we have a whole so all the other thing, like whatever the things are discussed here, the returns, repair, trade-in, upgrade, ITAT, and recycling, all those things are actually happening in India as well. But in a developed country, these are all actually formal business. So the product can be exchanged in a different form of business. So that is available in international forum. In India also, those formal business should be initiated. Now I'm entering to one of the important part. So if you are choosing some refurbishment, so your refurbisher, you are choosing to hand over to the refurbisher. So they may be giving you a better price because they will be refurbish the product and selling it to the market. Then you must be aware that the data, whatever is there in your system, are vulnerable. They can go to any other hand. So you should sanitize that data. So how do you know? Because you may be erasing that data, hand over to the device, but there are forensic softwares and other things, so they can actually retrieve the data. So some of the international, data you can see which actually give you just 1 minute. Actually, if you see, there are 43% of the product they are compromised due to the manual mistake. So this is the information of customer and employee may be handed over to the product without proper sanitization of the data, health information and patent. So business files also that contain confidential information, payment details, customer data such as names, phone, numbers, email, postal address. So those things are found actually happening. So there is a hardware failure also. Sometimes data is being lost. There is a theft and a human error. So these are all some of the things, and how these data breaches are growing worldwide. And that is why data sanitation software is also being sold around the world. So this is one of the things. So how do you know? One is you can purchase those software and sanitize the data. This is one way. But you may not be sure that data sanitation software is doing a better job or not. But there is a possibility that you are having aligned with some of the recycler or refurbishers who are having an R2 certificate. This R2 certificate will be giving you assurance that data is sanitized properly. So always it is better to align your ITAT, the IT assets disposal, with the R2 certified recycler. So it has been found internationally there are 60% data breaches happening in the third party service. What is the ITAT? Basically, it is a IT asset disposal. So after end of life, we'll be handing over your product. Then you have to be oversure that your data has been erased. So there are many methods. Of course, in the next webinar, I'll be discussing the process, how it is being done. So there is an overwrite data. You can overwrite with certain software with the existing data. It can clean, destroy the hard disk. Many of the guys are physically destroying the things. But there are a lot of issues, challenges that also I'll be discussing. Degaussing, if you have a magnetic tape, you can degauss, and there is a requirement of the adequate magnetic field so that it can degauss it. Then the data destruction services, that is the best method, data destruction services with the software process. There is a professional service. We'll be discussing how it can be done in next webinar in details. So what ITAT services are giving you, this provides you actually ensure the secure data destruction and taking care of due diligence for the national and international rules. And they are following certain industry standards so that potential threat of identity and other things can be taken care of. And also after use of those products, they are environmentally sound management they are using for disposing of their electronics. So ITAT is basically, there are, if you see what best you can do to prevent the discarded electronics asset from adding to the landfill to US. So if you have some usable or electronic product like your you should say laptop or computers, in 62 million tons of electronic waste worldwide, there are, as you see, there are almost 1,240 laptop thrown every second. So this laptop can be used by another underprivileged things. So it is always better to save them and giving them to other society who are other agency who cannot afford that. So for that you have to clean your entire data so that you can be sure that your data is not getting compromised. In case of ITAT, what are the things it is basically taking care? Enhancing data security, promoting sustainability, embracing emerging technology, and enabling your basically cost saving. So if you have a proper value of this product, if you are handing over this thing to the refurbishers, your rate maybe you are getting a better rate. And also from that product, there is a possibility of extraction of valuable metals. So you are basically saving some cost from your IT asset. So all those things will give you a better, business sense. So components, if you see the ITAT is giving data security, environmental responsibility, asset discovery, and value creation. And under that, there are data destruction, hard drive shredding, and also electronic recycling and sustainability IT practices, and IT asset recovery, refurbishment, resale, and part harvesting. So nowadays, people are not going for recycling. They are trying to harvest the IC, which is usable. So that is also another business has started. So because recycling is a cost, as you know. So if you see some of the product can be refurbished, you do that. If it is not possible, then you try to see what are the component, high value component can be harvested for the new product. So that business is also getting popular worldwide. Now the service companies for providing IT asset management, data center decommissioning, data erasing, hard drive shredding, refurbishing, repair and return. And for cost benefit purpose, as you know, these products are having high value rare earth element, precious metal. One example, nickel only will give you 15.5 USD per kg. So you have a nickel, you have a gold, silver, various type of rare earth. So they are very costly. So that is actually can be extracted from the product. Many IT product components can be reused. Like ITAT provides can extract DRM chip for use in other equipment, and which can cut cost when investing in the new equipment. And disk storage and processors also have potential market value. Now, this is the different aspects of data centers: data security, cost saving, regulatory compliance, and environmental sustainability. All those things actually taking care when you are taking the under ITAT, will be taking care all those aspects before disposing of your assets. So this is the last slide. I'll be showing what next webinar I'll be covering. All those ITAT process, I'll be go into details. So also we'll be discussing the global best practices of environmental sound management and IT asset disposal and data sanitation, case studies of data breaches, and R2 standards and certification, and also how R2 certificate will ensure you that actual data sanitation. So that will also come in different slides or different presentation in next time. Thank you very much.
Excellent, Dr. Chatterjee. And it's a fantastic thing. In a very short span of time, you covered a lot of content in terms of, at least you got a brief idea about the best practices, what is the flow for the last few years, how it has developed. And also, I think from the practical point of view, from our members, from nasscom members, it is very, very important to understand, even when they're disposing, what sort of best practices need to be followed. Like when disposing of is data. In fact, there are some questions which are there, which are asking about some of the basic practices. So to all of you who are in this webinar, there will be another webinar following this, as Dr. Chatterjee mentioned. We'll cover some of the other aspects which are also very, very interesting. But before we go into that, for me and Vartika, we're just scanning through some of the questions that has come, Dr. Chatterjee.
Yes.
I believe you can also look through the chat, but maybe the first one which we see is from Dheeraj. While being a manufacturer of international brands, how are you controlling usage of hazardous material usage while growing as Make in India products? That was his comment.
Comment, I will be right. Actually, if you see, for replacing the hazardous material from the electronic product, always engineers and scientists are continuously attempting to do so. Like I mentioned, soldering earlier was doing through lead. Now they replace lead with tin. Similarly, earlier days, you must have seen that CRT was used as a display panel, where lead was used for absorbing X-ray generating from the cathode ray. So that type of flat panel has been changed to the LED type of device, which is also further, there was a backlighting of mercury. So that is also hazardous. Now they have changed to the LED backlighting flat panel. And then now we are in the domain of OLED or AMOLED type of flat panel. So continuously, engineers or scientists are changing to see what are the different elements which will not create any toxicity after end of life. But all the time, it is not possible. Some of the elements still there, or rather, we are only concentrating on 6 elements I mentioned. There are many more. If you see the European Union list of WEEE, they have already 11 different categories. So in our rule, they are not included yet. But there are many other elements that will take a longer time, but researchers are definitely doing to do so. But recycling, before recycling, I told refurbishment it should be given the focus, so that actually once you are using the product, there is no hazards. So products, after developing the products, those products you can use. So the elements inside the product will not do harm. But if you are extracting in a non-industrial, like in informal sector, extracting something, that is hazardous. So that thing should be taken care from the formal recycling with a industrial scale. So this is my question. But Make in India also the similar method we are following. We are not designing anything. We are manufacturing. We are basically assembling, and step by step we are trying to engage our manufacturers to develop component in our country as well.
Yeah, there are a few other similar questions, but one question is also very important, I think, from Priya as well. If we format the laptop completely, data is deleted and then we dispose it or give it to recycling, is that enough for data sanitization?
Very
That's a
interesting question.
from many others. Yeah.
I should answer this. Of course, if you know, if you have a assessing quality that there is no traceable data after using some company name also I've seen. I'm not being a SERI representative. I should not take the name of those company who are selling those software. They are adequate, but you have to see after your data erasing, traceability is not there. So if you cannot do that, it's a professional service. It is always better to you just clean those data and hand over to certain recycler who are actually R2 certified. So then you will be having a certificate where third party logo will be there, like R2 logo will be there, that you will be assured that your data has been sanitized properly. So that is the right practice. But of course, you can also do purchase the software and do in-house cleaning first.
And I think in the next webinar, you could cover it in some more detail, this particular aspect in a little more detail.
One thing I can mention here also, I'll be discussing it, like you are having a magnetic tape, and many recycler came that we have a degaussing. So degaussing will clean those data. They're great. But those recycler must have purchased the degausser 10 years back or 5 years back. But your device, size of the device is enhancing. So if you have a more storage with the high density magnetic core, so that degausser is not having a sufficient magnetic field to take care of those erasing. So it will be a partial erasing will be there. So some of the data will still remain. So those things are the technical issue. Who knows it, they will be just in front of you. They will be using the degausser and say that all data is gone. No. So some traces may be there in that hard disk. Similarly, if you have a SSD, they are destroying in front of you, but some minimum particle size is important to say that you cannot retrieve. If it is a piece of SSD, you're just destroying with a hammer and all, that is not sufficient. So that is what I'm saying is a professional service. It is always better to be done from a professional ITAT company. So there are ITAT company who are claiming that I'll be giving you this service, but it's a cost, of course.
There are many other comments and some questions also, but maybe we can take one or two more. Ayushi is writing, if we are bulk consumer, what steps do we need to take apart from maintaining the Form 2 and partnering with CPCB? One of them.
As I mentioned, whenever you are onboarding your recycler, where you'll be handing over ITAT, IT assets, you just see that they are in the CPCB portal, first point. That is the first important thing. You have to keep record also. Earlier, those, quarterly and annually, you have to upload to CPCB portal, but that is not there now. But you can keep those records with you. Once the auditing will be done, so those records may be seen by the SPCB officers or sometimes CPCB officer. Something is gone wrong, so those things will be traceable. Second point I should mention, it is not there in the rule. You just see where there are 50 plus R2 companies, R2 certified recyclers are also there in our country. You just see whether they are in the CPC portal. Second thing, you see that those companies are having R2 certificate. So these two things will ensure you that you are not going into the wrong hand.
Another interesting question, I think one of the last questions that you can take due to the shortage of time. Dheeraj ji is writing, when IT assets are donated for reuse by underprivileged or NGOs, is the ownership of proper recycling also transferred? Or can the ownership remain with the donor with the defined life cycle so that it doesn't go in the landfill? Is this part of any policy?
Actually, refurbishment, if you are donating this, that ownership will be taken by the company who is donating it. So ownership of the product is not going to the NGO, but you can have some legal document that you have transferred this. So the ownership going to the NGO, that then only it will happen. Generally, we are just donating it with a covering letter and all. That is not sufficient, I should say. We should have a legal agreement that this is ownership has been transferred to that NGO. Then only it is actually going to them.
Right. Dr. Chatterjee, for the sake of time and of course appreciating everybody's time, I think we
Yes.
would
Almost we are
come to an end of our present webinar. There are some more interesting questions. I'm sure each of these questions would be addressed also either in written form or in some other form. And I really appreciate the content which you have brought in. And maybe in some form, if you were able to share certain aspects of this webinar, certain things which are maybe best practices in a written form, maybe a few slides or whatever form you can share, then between us, we can actually share with the participants some of the important ones, important policy materials. And also to all the participants, it is our request also to give us feedback in terms of what you want us to cover the next one, apart from what Dr. Chatterjee already mentioned. If there are certain things you want to really put some more focus on for maybe 10 more minutes in a certain area, let us know that. And we'll work with Dr. Chatterjee to make sure that we are covering and making it most fruitful for you all who are joining.
One thing,
so once again,
one point. If you are seeing a lot of comments and questions, if you can go through all those questions and make a proper form of question and share with us, then also we can just share those answers and all to you or Vatika. And as you mentioned, one webinar can be done only on question answer. So that is also possible for a half an hour or 20 minutes, on question answer. So that is also, then it will be free flow of, question answer.
Absolutely. I think this is what we will do in the next one. We will keep at least 30 minutes for Q&A because I'm sure after the next one, many of the questions will all be answered as well. But post that, we'll keep a separate session for Q&A also. But really, I mean, from all of us, it is a fantastic opportunity to hear from you and understand some of the best practices and do's and don'ts, etc. And really appreciate inputs from you and the team, from all of us. And thanks everyone who has joined in. And we'll shortly keep you. I mean, shortly we'll come back to you on the dates along with SERI to understand when you can join back and go for the next session with some more inputs for all of us. Thank you everyone.
Thank you.
It's really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you.